Good evening, TheoTrade. This is Corey Rosenblum, and you're watching the Theo Nightly video for the 23rd of January, 2020. And while we are watching our earnings, I know Intel butterfly and Intel gaps are happening as we speak. We also have some focus on financials, and a lot of the videos earlier this week talked about technology. So today we're going to focus on a little bit with the financial sector, some of the key financial names. American Express will report before the market opens on Friday. And we'll look at some other things, including the XLF sector ETF. But first, let's take a look at the broader market. We'll also do some scans, quick little scans, of stocks joining the S&P 500 at new, in some cases all-time highs, but the scan is specifically set up for new 52-week highs. As of this moment, there are 50 of those names. So let's get started with the S&P 500. This is our creeper uptrend. And we always look for that pullback, especially in trending markets. Now, this is a stronger trend than I'm accustomed to, and probably most of us in general. But nevertheless, this is a rising rally, and it's really nonstop. Has it happened before? Certainly. We can take a look at 2017. Some earlier points in the year. This doesn't go back as far as we would like, but even earlier in 2019. So this is not the first time this has happened, or it's just relentless week over week over week over week upside action. It's going to fall apart, not going to last forever, but while it's here, let's focus on that and keep on trading in that trend, and pullbacks are where it's at. The problem with pullback style trading, in my own account and yours, and I hear this a lot, is I want that pullback, I want the pullback, I want the pullback. And the pullback happens and we get bared up. We think, oh, well, it's over, it's over, it's over. And that's not necessarily how it works in terms of trending stocks. Here is Southern Company, and this one just made a new 52-week high and a new all-time high. You'll see it on the list in a moment here. Remember when we were talking about this triangle and the pullback to the weekly chart to 60 per share? And that's really the first pullback in 2019 to that weekly moving average. The main strategy that I discuss with you is find something strong and expect it to get stronger. So Southern Company is one of those good examples. And as a trend lover, as much as I am, you'll find that these things go a lot further than even I or others that love trends like me think they can go. And I think that's the point with trend style tactics. It's not really trend following, but it's trend pullback strategies, retracement trades. And for us at TheoTrade, we talk about in-out spreads and bull vertical call spreads, just to name a few strategies to join into trending stocks. So Southern Company is just relentlessly stronger, and that's utility. Utilities themselves, this may be a topic for a video next week, so I won't go too much in tonight's video because we're going to focus on financials, but just want to draw your attention to the utility sector, and that includes Southern Company. The S&P keeps that uptrend going. We saw that. Nasdaq, new high. Just came out today's session with the close at the highs. The Nasdaq was a little bit stronger. And again, that focus on technology, XLK, that's where the strength is. And we discussed that on an intraday basis and, of course, in the earnings-based Google and Intel's going to gap even higher. So that's going to play into tomorrow's session. And we'll take a look. You won't see the performance right now, but Intel, we can take a look at it quickly, but Intel is gapping to the upside. Let me show you on the intraday chart what we're looking at as we go into the close of today's session. And we'll just add the overnight session, and that takes us into 68 per share. And that may be a pivot, maybe a come down or retracement level tomorrow, but that's the original concept. Find something strong and expect it to get stronger, and we buy the pullbacks. So Intel's going to push up to, if the market holds, right here. So that's a concept of that which is strong, it's even stronger. Google is another stock in the tech sector mentioned earlier that's kept that trend going. And other names as well. But as promised, let's take you back into the financial sector. So that is on par or on focus in the XLF. You are seeing outperformance or relative strength in the technology name, and that's still bullish for the broader market. Nevertheless, financials aren't joining as much as we would like if you're a bull. And if you're a bear, this is a type of activity you want to see, especially strength in utilities and trending up. Again, maybe the topic for another video, but bonds are breaking the upside and could probably push a little bit higher on a breakout buy type of trade. So keep that in mind for TLT. That is similar to what we saw in the same discussion to GLD or gold futures. Gonna take it back to financials. And we are seeing the level or the resistance into 31 per share. Let's scroll down and take a look at some individual. These are our tech names. And down a little bit beneath that is the financial sector. One by one, take a look at Goldman Sachs, which is that little bull trade. That's a strong financial stock, getting even stronger. So that's a good little play on the pullback. We'll monitor that into about 240 per share. Bank of America, that's a deeper pullback. Remember, the problem with pullbacks is that we want them, we like them, we trade them, but when they happen, a lot of traders sidestep them because they assume that that's the end of the move and this is going to be a meltdown, going to be a crash. But that's not how retracements tend to work. But I get the logic. I feel that same way too. It just takes a lot of practice to get the concept of what's happening in real time and what retracements look like, which are a little bit bearish. So we'll be watching Bank of America into 34 per share. JP Morgan, similar type of pullback, and its level is 134 per share for JP Morgan. And Wells Fargo has been the one that has been weak. Maybe not the weakest, but weak for sure. And that earnings play and downside activity did send this stock toward lower support targets. Remember, the financial sector looked a little bit like this with chop, 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 chop. We'll take a look at that just to compare. Chop at the highs, and the next move, at least for Wells Fargo, was a downside break. And that occurred on some strong bear volume. So that's obviously something to keep protective plays, and why option trades, verticals and spreads, in outs and just bull or bear put spreads tend to manage risk. Because what happens if you're long or short? If you're short, that's good. If you're long support and you wake up to a downside gap, that's not great for stock traders. That's an advantage of option spread strategies here. And the opposite took place on earnings with Morgan Stanley earlier this week because it had a gap to the upside. That's what we'll probably see in Intel and other tech names this week, Netflix notwithstanding, and other type of components. We'll end the video with that, just looking at the scan. And instead of going into individual names, the topic for another video, we've got 3 ideas in the future for videos to look at soon. But we're looking at these stocks making new 52-week highs, in some cases new all-time highs, like Southern Company, and of course the Nasdaq and some others. And we sort them out by sector. So the main ones would be financials. We don't want to see that if we're bullish. Industrials, info technology, which includes Intel and Micron. But the strength is mainly coming from utilities, which is happening right there. So that may be a hidden sector of the market, and that is not necessarily bullish. So that's something to watch very closely as you are positioning, doing your spread trades or the butterflies on earnings. And of course, we'll have Friday with American Express and the fallout, to the upside at least, with Intel. And we'll always monitor these positions with you closely and throughout the sessions in the chat and beyond. As always, be careful and safe. This is Corey Rosenblum with your Theo Nightly video for January 23rd, 2020.